What's up, guys? We are back with another Masters of the Universe review, and we're back with another Origins review. So I finally got my hands on some more stuff after those original He-Man and Skeletor figures, and I've got a big one, literally. We've got Battle Cat up for review today. This is definitely the thing that I have wanted the most out of this line ever since the initial reveal, seeing it at PowerCon last year. Just getting a new Battle Cat sounded fantastic. And of course, after seeing more folks get a hold of him, I knew that we were in for a treat, because not only is this thing in awesome vintage packaging, it's massive. This thing is so much bigger than I expected it to be once I finally had it in hand. So we've got him here in a very familiar packaging. So this is very much vintage style packaging for the Beasts, for like, you know, the gift set type of things that we had back in the vintage line. So you've got him there in the big window. There is some fantastic new artwork that pays homage to the original artwork on the Battle Cat box. And then you've got the back, which has new artwork, which is very much in line with the Masters of the Universe theme. And then you've got cross-sell with this entire first wave showing off the set of 6 figures, Battle Cat and the Sky Sled. And then you've got the little explanation of how the armor goes on and off. So yeah, presentation alone, just fantastic. I definitely need another one of these to keep in the box, but this one is coming out, so let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Origins Battle Cat. So, I mean, without a doubt, something that everybody in this collecting community is going to be after when it comes to this particular line. It's Battle Cat. You can't have He-Man without having Battle Cat. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch, really, and I'm so happy that we got him in this first wave. This guy is interesting because it is, one, like I mentioned, so much bigger than you might think he is, and he has decent articulation, but it just has a really nice shelf presence when it comes to this line because, again, it's really big, and we're going to do some comparisons to the Classics figures, not necessarily Battle Cat, but the Classics figures to give you an idea of how this thing will scale too, because if you don't have Classics Battle Cat, you might not necessarily need him anymore. So let's take a look, see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. He is, of course, a cat, so he is not normal as far as a normal figure. I'm going to take the helmet off just to do articulation. So the head can look up, he can look down, he can twist side to side, and it's actually really interestingly articulated because it actually sort of pivots as you move it a little bit, so he can kind of look down to the side and then he look up. He doesn't really have any real rotation, but you can pivot it a little bit, and then you do have an articulated jaw, which I really like, so it adds a little bit of flair to the head. The legs are swiveling and they go backwards and forwards. You've got a hinged knee on every leg, and then there is rotation at the knee. I really wish he had ankle rotation or pivot or hinge or anything really, because that might be the one area where I kind of would think he could have used another cut, is just because it would make things a little bit easier to have him in a little bit more dynamic pose, to have him on 3 legs with 1 leg in the air without a foot that's sort of just sticking straight up. So there's things you can do with him. You can certainly pose him, but at the same time, he's a little bit limited just because of the confines of this line. The legs on the back, they also swivel. They really just kick backwards. The front legs kick forwards, the back legs kick backwards, basically just due to sculpt. And then you've got hinges. Of course, it's a cat, so he's got kind of the backwards knee there. And then again, rotation. And then you've got a hinged tail and then rotation there as well. I really do like this. I didn't realize it was articulated until I got him out of the box, so that's a nice little surprise. So he does move decently enough. I mean, it's certainly better than the vintage Battle Cat because he didn't move at all, and it's very much in line with this line. It's not super articulated, but it also does move enough to kind of satisfy the need to put him in a dynamic pose. Where this guy truly shines, though, is the looks department, because this is very much a vintage-style Battle Cat that just has articulation cut in. And that's not a knock, it's not a negative by any means, it's just sort of a transition from that particular toy to this particular toy. And I think they did a fantastic job here. So the sculpt on this guy is really tremendous. Of course, he's covered in a furry texture throughout the body. And I'll take the armor off here shortly to give you an idea of what he looks like. But this is how he comes in the box. And this is how I'm always going to display him anyway. So, here you go. So you've got the furry body all over him. You've got the kind of, yellowy tiger stripes all over the body, which are painted pretty well. They maybe are a little bit light in some areas. Like this one could be a little bit more detailed, I think. but he does look really good. And, you know, from a distance, you would know this is obviously Battle Cat. The tail is really well done, so it's got the nice curve to it and more of that furry sculpted detail there. We're going to take the helmet off real quick and talk about this head sculpt, because this, I mean, just screams kind of vintage Battle Cat to me. So you've got those really, really beady eyes up there with more of the orange, yellow tiger stripes. You've got the fur kind of flowing backwards on the face, the red and white mouth. I dig, again, the articulated jaw. It just adds a lot of dynamic look to him, really, not necessarily posing, but it gives you another layer of depth when it comes to this thing. So I really do like that. Taking the helmet and putting it back on for a second, he's got the painted eyes this time around, so I really do like that. So, you know, a Filmation-y kind of thing. I've always thought Battle Cat's helmet was kind of goofy looking personally, but of course it is what it is, so I'm really happy that we got this thing. I'm really glad that he still has that vintage style armor. Nothing was really changed here. So you've got a very matte finish to the entire armor, except on some of the spikes. These are kind of glossy in comparison. Not too glossy, but they definitely have a different finish to them. And you've just got all the various ridges, the saddle area for He-Man or whoever happens to be riding him whenever you've got him on display. And when it comes to taking this off, you know, you just pop the helmet right off like I've done, but the actual armor just has a little clasp down here, and you can pull it off, and you've got yourself a MOTU Origins Tiger, or a Big Jim Origins, you know, cat, really, depending on how you want to display them. So I'm really glad that that's removable. Again, I have no intention of doing it when it comes to my display, but I know a lot of folks are interested in being able to change things up, make him modular, do whatever in the world they want to, and that's kind of a tenet when it comes to this line. So you've got the ability to take it off. It's very easy. You can put it right back on, no issues there. When Panther comes out, do whatever you want, swap it around. So I really dig the way he looks. Again, though, it's all about size when it comes to this guy too, because he's huge. So here he is next to the Origins He-Man, and you can see that he has a tremendous amount of size. I mean, He-Man does not even come up to the top of the saddle by any means. So you can throw this guy on there, and he looks just fantastic on top of Battle Cat. I'm really happy with the way he is scaled, the sizing, the overall look. I mean, he's massive by comparison to all of the figures in this line. So, of course, he's perfectly sized to He-Man. But like I said, if you're, you know, maybe one of the unlucky folks out there who did not ever get your hands on a Classics Battle Cat, you might not really need to anymore, unless, of course, you're like me and just have to have the exact thing. So we'll take Origins He-Man off, and we'll pan back down here. And here is Classics He-Man. So, I mean, you can see right there, just to give you a profile, that's not too far off. They are surprisingly decent when it comes to scale. And while Classics He-Man doesn't necessarily fit on this guy, you know, 100% in terms of just the fit of the saddle, of course he wasn't meant to be on there, he doesn't look out of place on here either. So this guy is still very much in the realm of something that you can use for other Classics figures, or if you still need a Battle Cat. You know, granted, that's not what it's for. That's not the intent or the purpose by Mattel in any way, but I think it's really cool that you can do this and that he is still big enough that he doesn't look out of place here. Granted, he probably looks better with Origins He-Man, but at the same time, I'm not against this. I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, that's about it for Battle Cat, honestly. There's not a whole lot to say here because he really is just a good, fun toy. He's sized really well. I know I've said that way too many times at this point. He works so well with the Origins He-Man, but at the same time works really well with bigger figures. And it's odd that that actually does work, but here we are. I think it's nicely done. He looks fantastic. I mean, this is very much that vintage toy with articulation. That's really what it comes down to. It's that vintage toy with articulation. I would have loved for him to have had ankle articulation, don't get me wrong, but I think he's pretty solid with what he comes with. The look is just down perfectly. I like the inclusion of the eyes on the mask. I'm really happy with that. And then he just looks great. He's a fantastic addition to this line. I'm glad we got him early on, and I'm going to be hard-pressed to enjoy a figure better in Wave 1, I think, than this guy. Everything else that I haven't gotten so far is up against a hefty challenger when it comes to this line, because Mattel really did a fantastic job here. So that's going to do it for this look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Battle Cat. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.